Hey guys, we've got a special edition of 10 today. We're talking to Philip from Space Computer. Hi Philip.
Hello everyone, thanks for having me.
No worries. I'm joined by usual suspects. We've got Bav.
Hello, ladies and gents. Bav back again, the 10 Chad, the chief hashing, authentication, double checker. God, I need to breathe more often. That was too much. But hello, great to see you. It's been too long, and the next 30 or 40 minutes are going to be great. So, yeah, stay tuned in, throw us your questions, and yeah, do me the favor of obviously welcoming Philip from Space Computer. So, hello, Philip.
And we got Jobin, who's normally doing the talking, but Jobin's decided he's not going to talk quite so much today. So he's handed over the baton to me. Hi Jobin.
Hey Gavin, hey Bob, hey Philip. Yeah, got too many complaints that I talk too much, so this time I'm gonna take a back seat. Let Gavin do the interesting conversation part. I'm gonna listen, and probably chime in whenever somebody's gonna shout T. So you can expect me there.
Okay. Well, I feel quite privileged to be able to host this because I've got a whole raft of questions. Because what you're doing, Philip, I'm not going to use the tired cliche of out of this world, but you are really doing something quite unique, quite special. So yeah, give us a quick intro in what Space Computer is and what you're doing.
Definitely. So as a space computer, we have the vision of building a layer 1 blockchain in space, where we kind of envision the cypherpunk future where more and more activities are going to happen in space. And of course, we want to be part of it and build the infrastructure that can be later on used for terrestrial communication, interplanetary communication, and so on and so forth. And for that, of course, we are learning and getting the experience from what was achieved on Earth and try to build similar, but hopefully also better infrastructure in space that can provide confidentiality out of the box to the user and provide very attractive use cases that people can actually be excited about, not only from the on-Earth perspective, but later on, of course, with respect to space economy and far beyond.
Wow. So when projects say they're early, you guys are really early, because your thesis, I guess, is that there's going to be a need to communicate securely actually in space, not necessarily back to Earth, or are you saying within space?
Correct. Yeah, we actually, from many of the feedback we are receiving, of course, like there is a lot of activity to do between space and Earth communication, but we definitely start to also see many interesting aspects and use cases where you don't have to necessarily always use the Earth as the relayer, right? You can do actually directly satellite to satellite communication in a secure and privacy preserving fashion. And for that, we want to be there and provide the infrastructure where people can use it for confidential compute, run their secret or privacy preserving models and other aspects that actually can be running natively in space and communicate with other infrastructure pieces in space. And we want to be providing the settlement layer where everything can be orchestrated and provided to the users. So definitely we envision, of course, with respect to on-Earth users, to provide them tooling that enables them to build their application for extending the capabilities of users on Earth, but definitely don't want to shy away from the opportunity that we see with respect to space native applications that are meant to stay in space and of course maybe once per time communicate, but most of the interactions actually happening by themselves in space.
Wow, that is fascinating. If I put my techie hat on for a second, how do you, so you can get quite hung up on latency and transactions per second. So how do you deal with latency between space and Earth?
Definitely, it's gonna not be the experience you might be used to from your native L1s or L2s with respect to that. So definitely we'll be on the slower end with respect to that. But we try to balance the trade-off of providing more security. So this is the part where we envision that at the beginning, we will be rather slow chain, but providing instant finality with respect to running through the individual rounds of consensus that people can rely on and build on. But of course, from the aspect of interactivity, we are also introducing in our blue paper the two-tier architecture, where users can already interact with the on-Earth component and have a reasonable experience with respect to that. But of course, the settlement will definitely take some time. So on that part, in the early phases will be rather slow, but we envision the future where, as we can currently see, the space is booming. Like every year we see more and more satellites being sent to space, providing better communication, better throughput, and we definitely want to be part of it. So we envision that the protocol in the future should be definitely providing better throughput, lower latency to the users, and we see that this can be achieved through different type of communication means. We currently are focusing on Iridium as the underlying communication layer, but in the future, of course, want to tap into Starlink and similar, where users from on Earth can later very easily interact with our infrastructure in space.
Okay, so are you envisaging a future where you've got inter-satellite communication because there's some form of behavior that can all take place up in space, and then like the final outcome would be sent to Earth, almost like netting multiple transactions, and you would just send the netted result back down.
Pretty much. Yeah. I think of course, like in order to also preserve the state among the individual peers, we'll be going through the consensus rounds where we definitely see that each satellite should be having the same state, but from the aspect of the user, with whatever satellite they're interacting, they should be getting the latest state of the chain that will be preserved in a confidential and unique jurisdiction as well with respect to where the information themselves are being stored.
Oh my God, right. We'll get down that rabbit hole in a minute because that in itself is intriguing too. But your background, Philip, you're not a space dude, are you? You're an encryption dude.
Correct. Yeah, I am currently in the last phase of my PhD, so fingers crossed. I will be completing my PhD this year. So this has definitely been quite a journey since the beginning of this year, like really building, shipping, and also finishing my research activities. But with respect to that, I have been focused on the aspects of applied cryptography, distributed systems, and for the past couple of years on trusted execution environments, which I think it's something that I didn't envision. But with respect to space computer, it's great that I can build all of these individual components together and just change the model, right? From on Earth considerations, just build everything in space while combining all of the individual areas of expertise that I have been reading about and researching about for the past couple of years.
Right. So was it, you were thinking about TEEs, you were thinking about the threat surface, you were thinking about physical attacks on the hardware, and did you literally think, well, hang on a minute, guys, if we could chuck this thing in space, we've got it absolutely nailed? Was that the thought process, or was it something different?
I think definitely that was the part that got me really interested when I was joining Space Computer, because we were always like if you look at the current TE technologies from Intel, AMD, many of them do not consider this type of sophisticated physical attacks on the TEs. And definitely one way to always was the joke in the room. Just send it to the space, right? Like, or the other way around, like, oh, we need some randomness. How do we get the randomness? Just get it from the space, right? So kind of like the meme actually become now the reality where we are aiming to provide this type of capabilities with really having challenging aspect of people actually trying to physically tamper with the device once it's up and running, because it's moving quite fast, right? And providing a very unique cosmic radiation and randomness to the users on Earth, but not only limited to that. So definitely sending it to space makes it very slow on one side, but definitely very secure. And this is the value proposition we are aiming for.
Yeah. Did you consider sending it down to the bottom of the ocean?
Yeah, that was a good question, but from the aspect of when looking on how much things are being sent yearly to the bottom of the ocean, right? Like very deep, it's like, and how much things are being sent to space, we found it like it's cooler to send it to the space, you know?
You're right. You're right. There's no CX, is there? There's only SpaceX.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Bav, I'm gonna turn over to you for a sec. I'm sure you got some burning questions for Philip.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. When I first heard about this concept, I was David that reached out to me. So I think, where it's a coming together of two teams. You guys have a huge belief in TEs. From the 10 side, we've worked with TEs for so long. Where do you specifically see, I guess, 10 adding value here? I mean, I feel at this point in time, I mean, Philip, correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of partnerships have happened in Web3 that don't make sense. I think there's a great deal of precise detail as to why this one does make sense beyond the team actual history. So if we're just looking holistically from a high level point of view, why does this actually make sense for 10? And then we'll kind of come on to the TE side as well after, if you want.
Mhm. Definitely. So I think the aspect that we definitely foresee is like, even though we want to send things to space and provide a unique aspect of space TE, we definitely also require a lot of on-Earth infrastructure, right? This will be the aspect where we want to look for partnerships, interact with the users, and provide them the usability that they are used to from the on-Earth component. And definitely, with respect to that, TAN can definitely provide the value and the expertise that we are happy to leverage with the current TE models we are used to, like either Intel SGX, TDX, and beyond, and see how can we provide as a part of the interaction chain from the users on Earth, TE interaction on Earth, all the way to the space where we can have end-to-end confidentiality, or the other way around, also integrity along the journey as well of the sensitive information users might be sharing as well. So definitely, this is the part where I can see interesting combinations that can be mutual possible from the perspective of the user on Earth, but also, of course, from the future infrastructure running in space and want to communicate with on-Earth components as well. So definitely, I see a great overlap with that, because the technology on Earth is something that we heavily rely on. I can also dive into it a bit more in detail, how currently, for example, users can communicate with our infrastructure in a currently rather trusted fashion, but also how we want to make it trust minimized moving forward.
Amazing. And it's funny because from a 10 point of view, we have this kind of, epiphany. We believe we are the final boss, who doesn't just, beat the other L2s. We sort of transcend beyond everything. We make the impossible possible. We're not just scaling Ethereum, we're making it unstoppable by putting the infra beyond any government's reach, I guess, in this case. With what you guys are doing, there's so many ways you can describe it in a TLDR way. There's global availability, there's sensor resistance, there's air gap by design. Is this the end game, or is there something beyond this that where this is more a means to the end?
I think these are the more means to the end. So we definitely see and foresee the space economy, right, with respect to that, and we want to be part of it. So I think my co-founder Daniel had a great slide with respect to, we started with Bitcoin really providing the aspect of peer-to-peer, like early electronic gold. Then we have Ethereum as the world computer, and we definitely, with our name, obviously, want to provide the space computer where people can interact and really think what can be achieved in our galaxy, and hopefully cross-planetary form of interaction. And we would be happy if you are part of it and can provide this type of settlement. And of course, following the original ethos of cyberpunks, with respect to privacy, security, and beyond that as well.
Amazing.
Your air gap comment made me laugh, Bav, because that's quite a sizable air gap, isn't it, Philip?
It is indeed. You're gonna need Philip. You're gonna need a very, very, very big ladder. I think.
And then just reach with the hand.
It's so close, but yet so far. It's actually like Web3 because you can kind of see everything being done, but you can't actually access anything. So I think it's funny actually. I believe this is sort of the natural evolution of this space because we've sort of come through multiple cycles now, and obviously we have ETFs and everything's becoming more quote unquote proper, and we've kind of grown beyond this phase where there's been a plethora of new technologies, whether it's ZKs or FHE, and more recently some stuff in the MPC space. And the funny thing is, TEs are finally getting the credit that are due. And it's something we use every day. Everyone has a MacBook and or iPhone or something of similar nature. We all have it. It's sort of built into the walls. We might not see, might not actually recognize it, but we have it. And we finally are now realizing that it's not what you have till it's gone. It's what you have when you have it. And I feel that's what TE is right now. The sort of value there and the awareness they've really gained. That's the point now where we're at. I guess one thing for me, I mean, in your head, Philip, was it always going to be TEs, or was there ever a kind of competing solution here that maybe looked very different in hindsight?
I think always TE, at least for me, was part of the equation. Like with respect to the research sometimes was actually very tough, because whenever I mentioned like TEs a few years ago, like people were like, it's broken, it doesn't work, you know. But I think finally, as you mentioned, I think like starting 2 years ago, it started to change, you know. And I think definitely big kudos to, with respect to that, to Andrew Miller and the team from Flashbots. Actually, they're really trying to bring up the awareness, see what are the technologies, what can they provide. And also at the same time, I think find a really good part that it doesn't necessarily mean that we want to get rid of the other technologies, right? Like I think that each building block in this case, like you mentioned it as a part of the overall privacy enhancing technologies. We have SMC, we have FHE, we have ZK, TEs. I think they can really provide a good symbiotic synergies with respect to what actually can be achieved when combining these technologies together. And I think now it's really great that people are at least looking at and understanding the value these can provide. With respect to the performance overhead, there is definitely a lot of stuff because they are usable, as you mentioned. Like we have it in most of the current servers, end users devices, mobile phones. The technology is accessible now, so it's just like really how do we build upon it and really start using it. So at least for me, with respect to the value proposition of TEs, I always had it in mind. But of course, trying to provide trust minimized solutions where maybe we combine a couple of TEs together with some form of like SMC among them was always something that we envision as a part of the defense in depth and building the solutions moving forward as well.
Amazing. And this thing actually kind of sits quite close to my heart because once upon a time, Web3 for me, I used to work looking at the telecom space as an analyst, and I used to look at the LEO space at the time, and the companies like OneWeb, and they were doing what they were doing. And one of the use cases of LEOs, or if people don't know what that means, low Earth orbit satellites. People nowadays, that are huge adopters of it is stuff like Starlink and things like that. So I guess you're bringing a new paradigm of use cases to LEO. So I guess everyone in this call who's listening or will listen at some point, they know what TEs are. We've gone through that. Why do you think it's such a huge innovation for Web3, really, to bring this space forward? Because we are builders. Fundamentally, it's our job to build the best, environment to onboard the future generation of users and builders as well. Why do you think TEs should be in space beyond the sort of generic stuff we've already spoken about? Maybe there's something that's closer to your heart, maybe in line with your ethos as a builder.
Yeah, definitely. So as you mentioned, or we previously covered as well, of course, I kind of see it as the natural, let's say, evolution with respect to providing and strengthening the current threat model of the TEs we have. So definitely with respect to that, it's very, very interesting part that we can dive into, and at the same time trying to provide the usability that people are used to from the interaction on Earth with respect to the TEs. Because even now, people just say we deploy stuff in TE, but actually if you don't do it properly, right, like you are leaking so many information, and then just like the whole aspect of TE is not very there. You really have to think properly on how to leverage the capabilities that these provide and really make sure that your end-to-end flow and the application deployment actually makes sense. So we want to definitely contribute to the aspects of usability. And ideally, what we really love is to provide in some way like a seamless experience to the users with respect to ensuring security. This is definitely our ethos that we envision. And with respect to that, once we enable it and once we have it, I can imagine that people can unlock and think of very different use cases, either like a really different type of aspect of custodial wallet solutions where you really can rely on this party. You can have large, basically really like a space bank, space vaults that can hold large value, and people can later on build with it on Earth, because it can be a very unique space where you're actually storing your collateral, right, for some on Earth economy, but also space economy, and move beyond that. So this is definitely some of the stuff that makes us excited, and we definitely see that even though we want to have each satellite capable of that, we also envision that we, of course, want to have a smaller constellation of satellites for availability and other type of threats in place. So definitely the combination of multiple factors is something that we still want to have as a part of our solutions moving forward.
Amazing. I definitely agree. I've got a feeling I'm actually, call me nosy, guys, but I'm staring at Jobin and his brain's obviously in this buffering stage. I know he's got some really in-depth technical questions. After all, he is our lead DevRel. He's the one that leads this mindset for us. So, Jobin, I'm going to pick on you here, mate. I'm going to give you the mic and say, speak with your open heart and tell the world what you have to say about Space DB 010.
Thanks, Chad. Thanks for the opportunity. I've been holding all this while after 21 minutes of not speaking was tough. Finally I can speak. So, yeah, I'll be pretty open about what I thought when I heard about Space Computer Philip first, and I actually tweeted it out also when the first announcement came out about you guys. I was like, why the hell would somebody put a computer in space? Like, what? What is it more than a gimmick? That was my honest thought. I'm being very honest, and I tweeted it out actually, and I was surprised you guys even retweeted it, and I mean that showed how open you are to the fact that people would question this part of considering this as a gimmick. But I continued explaining in that tweet. It took me a while after understanding what you guys said, David said, Philip said about what you guys are trying to build. I thought it from a very different perspective that uh, this becomes sort of the last man standing for a lot of compute based solutions on Earth and chain, like a disaster resilience system or a redundancy system. Imagine this could be the last validator standing. This could be the solution to the problem that we have been seeing for validators, the last honest validator problem. This could be solution to that. This could be that entire archive node for the entire chain's history in case something super bad happens. So that was my sort of perspective for space computers. But I wanted to know about something. I mean, I have gone through all these aspects and understood what are the possible applications, and you can elaborate on that later. But something I want to question, Philip, how much of your system is dependent on things on Earth? Because I know there is a lot of resiliency, redundancy, there's a lot of air gap, like Bhav said, because it's on satellite. But is there something like a kill switch, which is on Earth, which somebody presses? If I'm pretty sure this is gonna be in somewhere in a jurisdiction. Tomorrow the government says that it has to be shut down. They come, bash and press the kill switch, your satellites are down. The entire system depending on this resiliency, redundancy solution is down. We no more have the last man standing for our chain, no more the last validator standing, no more archive nodes. This I also thought this could be the last thing in the Wayback Machines archive. Like every servers on the Earth disappear. This is the last Wayback Machine archive on satellite. But what if there's a guy who there's something happens where somebody comes and presses the kill switch? Do you have such autonomy for your satellite? Have
For
you
the
thought about it?
satellite, it's a very great question because it always, something that keeps us waking up. Like, okay, how does the supply chain in the context of space look like, right? What are the part that we have to rely on, not only during the time of launch, but also the time of operation. And for now, at least from the discussions we have, and the future we see, that definitely there should be no kill switch. This is the future we are foreseeing and envisioning and build our protocol with these aspects in mind. But until we reach there, we definitely have a lot of components on Earth. For example, we have a gateway that is used to communicate with the space infrastructure itself. We currently do not necessarily have our own terminal that we can just like deploy and launch it, but definitely I'll be talking more about it during EFCC. We have a roadmap on how to trust minimize the aspects of how actually users can interact with our infrastructure. And these are the individual components we kind of want to provide and offer it to the users. So you can think of it like, as of now, you can go by yourself and order Starlink. This is basically the experience we wanted anyway. At the end, anyone should be able to get a terminal and be able to interact with our infrastructure through dedicated communication channels that we want to provide. So this is the aspect of the communication. On the hardware front, of course, the aspect that we are currently working on is to really have the expertise to provide and build our own satellites in the context of the design and be able to assess actually what is part of it. And there are actually very cool solutions that can be deployed. Just of course, it's always a trade-off of cost with respect to providing these consideration on how to make sure that the device you built was not tampered with before it's being properly launched and deployed in space. So these are also the other types of threat model we are considering for our solutions. But also, as you always know, the aspect is also on the software. So we definitely want to also consider the aspect of really minimizing the TCP on the individual satellite as well. So all of these different components are something that we have on our radar and are really like foreseeing on how can we leverage them step by step to mitigate them as well and make sure that they don't really hinder the future we are aiming for. In order to actually really be, as you are properly mentioning, we really want to provide a robust checkpointing capabilities to the disaster scenarios that we will hopefully not really ever be part of, but definitely want to have the backup solution in space.
That's a wonderful answer, Philip. Thanks for answering that, and I appreciate that you thought about all this possible scenarios in such an early stage, because it's just been a few months that I've seen the project coming out, and you already have thought about such a complex scenario. And even though it's sort of an edge case scenario, but it's good that you have thought about such an aspect so that it truly is trustless. And I think we had a very limited scope or vision when it came to decentralization. We thought decentralization is escaping the network and internet just built by humans on Earth. And space computer basically expands the scope of what decentralization means. I'm just thinking of I've been pondering about this after I heard probably like Bhav said about Leo. What if sometime, I know I'm going to sound very degenerate and absurd when I'm going to say this, but probably we might see layer ones and layer twos of space computer based on geo, HEO, LEO, deep space, based on how much security and immunity you need, because Leo is still something that is very capable in terms of what you call communication and all that. But still, if somebody, a nation state, prepares to attack it using some medium, then definitely it's possible. But maybe we'll have layers of deep space based satellites for the most extreme, highly confidential. Like we have, if you guys know, there's something called a seed vault in the North Pole or South Pole, I guess, where the seeds are kept hidden in a vault, so that if something disastrous happens to the entire Earth, you always have a backup. So this can be that final layer of backup in the deep space where everything gets wiped off. But still, probably if humans also die, somebody out in the space has a backup of how did humans perform, how did they live, what they innovated. This can be that last piece in the deep space stuff. So it's really good to know that you are expanding the scope of decentralization. Now we are truly. So I'll say to all the people who are watching, if you don't understand what I'm trying to say when I say expanding decentralization scope, then it basically means immunity to nations, immunity to states, immunity to jurisdictions. Because when it's in satellite, it's in space, and like Philip said, if you are making it truly trustless, that there is no kill switch, then basically no country can decide what can be removed, what can be killed, and nobody can decide to shut it down. That truly means you will have access to your finance, money in your wallet. You'll still be able to transact. You'll still be able to travel. You'll still be able to use all your social media that's on decentralized network. And trust me, it's truly gonna matter when we are heading towards a stage where more and more companies are trying to take control of you and your data in this AI era. So that's really great. And I'm pretty excited to Philip, to see space computer going live and then probably using it as part of 10, where it becomes the last man standing to ensure that privacy is maintained no matter what goes wrong. It'll be super, super good. Like we can probably say right now it's 99.9% privacy. It'll become 100% privacy when the last man standing in the space, powered by space computer, seals the deal by one of the nodes running on satellite using space computer. I'm looking forward to that. One more question. We also offer RNG as part of the TEs on Earth. How different is, Philip? You are a CT RNG that's offering it from space.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think what we see as the differentiating factor is the aspect of the T, right? Like it's the true random number generator that is coming from space, where due to the aspects of the cosmic radiation, really we are able to achieve the true random number as it is and try to provide it to the users on Earth. We are currently looking into extending on these capabilities, and we see that many cryptographic protocols, consensus protocols, and many applications on Earth would definitely benefit from that. And we have a stable roadmap actually that we will be slowly expanding with our partners and try to provide unique capabilities where actually they can leverage the CTRNG in the application. So stay tuned. Very soon we'll be actually providing information on how can you integrate your CTRNG randomness from space verifiable directly into your smart contract platform. But of course, like also in the future, we are looking for applications, how to integrate it, for example, into your signature schemes where you have random nonce that is always used for the generation of the signing. How can we actually do it? Your consensus aspect with respect to the part of leader elections and beyond that. So we definitely see a lot of interesting applications where we are currently in the works of how to make a first POC and try to offer it to users. So definitely it's very exciting. We definitely also see general traction in this direction in the space. Just I think like last week, talking, for example, about Ethereum, there was a really great blog post regarding Randao that is used to divide individual peers to the different committees on Ethereum and how it's currently working and what are some of the limitations. And we are definitely happy to actually see that randomness is being taken into account in many of these scenarios. And we hope to be part of the solutions to some of the challenges that are coming from not having proper randomness in the protocols.
So, yeah, anybody who's watching this session, if you are building any dApps which actually needs true random number, then you have 10 and you have space computer. Based on use case, choose whether it's Earth randomness you want or cosmic randomness that you want. You have both options. You can go and check out our links to the docs. That's docs.10.xyz, and Space Computer has docs.spacecomputer.io. Go and check that out. Last thing, Philip, from my side, I've taken already 11 minutes. Last thing, Philip, what use case do you envision when you combine the encryption, confidentiality, on-chain aspect that we have provided with T's in space from your side? What standard solution do you imagine could be absolutely bonkers for the Web3 space?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, it's a great question. So as we discussed at the beginning, we will have an early and the short to immediate term definitely some limitations on the aspect of latency. So unfortunately, because of that, several of the very high-profile use cases cannot be really leveraged. But definitely, the aspect that we foresee already now will be the direction of providing reasonable custodial wallet solution, really focusing on storing high-value part on the chain, but also on the aspect of like the constellation of the satellites that we plan to have. So definitely these are the part that we focus on, where we really want to provide the security in this consideration. Because if you consider and talk to people currently, not many of them would be willing to store hundreds of thousands or millions of value on TEs possibly. So we want to see how can we actually bridge this type of scenarios and provide this type of assumptions and trust guarantees to the users as well. So definitely would be happy to discuss how can we make it a reality.
Awesome. Back to you, Gavin.
Thanks, Jobin. So I've got one more question, Philip, and then I'm going to open up for Q&A from people that are listening in. Mm-hmm. So I think Bav touched on it a little bit earlier. So do you, maybe this lets you touch on your roadmap in a bit more detail, but do you imagine like a medium-term end state where you have Earth-based L2s that use TEEs, and that does quite a lot of heavy lifting, and then when that particular use case or that dApp or that user wants to do something that requires space-based TEE encryption, then there'd be a handoff, and you won't necessarily, you'll be interfacing with all the potential TEE L2s on Earth, and then they have the option basically for that secure last mile, I guess, to go to Space Computer.
Exactly. Yeah, this is definitely one of the very attractive use case we envision with respect to really providing the end-to-end confidentiality from the time when the user wants to send their sensitive information to the L2 on the Earth, where we definitely are looking for partnering and scale our solution through L2 components, and later on provide the end-to-end integration with the confidentiality all the way to the L1 as well. So this is definitely something we foresee as a very interesting scenario. Of course, we want to provide both, so not maybe everyone cares about confidentiality. So on that part, we don't have to always have it, but definitely this will be the solution that we want to provide to users. And for that, we'll be happy to discuss on how to make it possible.
Yeah, super. Well, I'm looking forward to bringing that to 10 very, very soon. All right. Let's get over to question. Oh, right. Blimey, there's loads here. Jobin, help me out here, man. How am I picking? Are you just going to pick some out? Have you been watching this chat whilst I've been gassing with Philip?
No, I was too lost. I was too lost.
I think Rosie has been following on our behalf. Thank God we have her, because we got so hooked by Philip's wisdom.
Okay,
Rosie, what's the first question?
Is it the one that's popped up on the screen here? Will there be merch for testnet participants?
Oh, let me take that.
I'm even willing to buy it. Is that space? That must be Space Computer merch. What have you got in mind, Philip? You got to do your merch game. What's
Stay tuned. ECC. I think it's gonna be fun. So we had a very nice presentation during our last visit in New York. So we had a very cool jacket for our close partners. But definitely we want to bring something to the community that is space themed. So we have very cool T-shirts and hope to scale it up to something very futuristic as well moving forward. So merch is definitely something that we have to more lean into and really try to provide cool space-based merch. So this is something that we always want to step up the game. So stay tuned.
That will be a killer combination. That will be a killer combination. The 10 jersey and the space computer jacket on top of it. What's better layering than that? You definitely have to get the merch from both of us, but it's something super rare. So let's see if the team has got enough merch.
I think this is Let me actually send a message out to the community. Everyone's been asking for merch. I'll be honest, even some of the 10 core team members still haven't received their merch. So the end goal for me, the final chapter, the final network, what it looks like for me is first, every person that supports 10, they can have a 10 jersey in their hand. They can wear it with their chest out, hand on heart. They can say, I support 10. I support the entertainment network. It is the T-native execution layer for the new internet. Now that's my end goal. So how am I going to achieve that? So most recently, myself and Liam, who's not on this call, we were at Berlin Blockchain Week. We distributed it there. We're going to be at ECC in Cannes from the weekend onwards. We're going to have more merch to give out there. And what's going to happen after that? And I also understand there's a lot of community members who won't be at these conferences. So we have specifically actually allocated a bunch of cool ways in the upcoming weeks where we will ship you, no matter where you are in the world, whether you're in Europe or in Asia or Africa, it doesn't matter, whichever continent you may reside in. I will make it my personal. I will not sleep, guys. I will not sleep. I will give up my 8 hours of sleep. I will make sure you have a 10 jersey in your hand. And I'm going to give you some alpha as well now, because also people are saying 10 jersey, 10 jersey, 10 jersey. Personally, I believe we're more than just a 10 jersey. A 10 jersey is amazing, don't get me wrong. Shout out Rosie, our designer, our creative director, our in-house EA. But we are more than a 10-10 jersey. That's why I'm going to give you a sneak preview. This is literally I wish there was a button for a drum roll right now. But we have now created 10 jerseys for Labubus. I repeat, it's a 10 jersey for a Labubu. Right? I'll hold my hand up. I had a recent diagnosis. I went to the doctor. I wasn't feeling too well. He diagnosed me as I am terminally ill for Labubus. So now come and message me if you need one. I'm going to make ECC. And by the way, I do not discriminate. If it's a Labubu you like, it's a Labubu jersey. If it's a Pudgy Penguin you like, it's a Pudgy Penguin jersey. If it's a Paddington teddy bear jersey, I've got one myself. I slept with one when I was a child. I couldn't sleep without Paddington. It's for Paddington. Don't worry. It fits all size. It's universal. Just ping me, and I will do my best to get you these. And going forward, like I said, there's going to be tasks and everything. Well, I will not sleep till every member of the 10 community has their very own 10-10 jersey.
But by the likes of the interest for this jersey, we might have to start a separate 10 jersey project and do a pre-seed race for this. The excitement is too much for us to.
It's true. It's true. It's Web3. The Web3 is known for its way of spinning off projects. So it might make sense. Maybe in the long term, we call it RWA or something, right? Real world asset. We bring it on chain with NFTs only on 10. I'm throwing around ideas right now. Give me a thumbs up or something if you like it. Maybe it's something worth exploring.
Well, I'm part of the 10 community, Bev, in case we hadn't noticed, and I'm still waiting for my jersey. So I'm definitely looking for it. I don't have a Labubu, so you can leave that on the desk.
This won't fit. You don't think?
Yeah,
squeeze into it maybe.
Philip, here we go. So from Newell, will there be a B2C testnet of the network?
Definitely. So we are currently working on several stages of DevNets where we want to provide different type of functionalities to the users, where we will be starting also with like a simple single node scenario. So it's very far from like the official constellation, because of course it takes some time to ship the hardware to space. But definitely closer to will be to the mainnet, we will have full-fledged testnet where people can interact and try to deploy their smart contracts. Get understanding of how the end integration actually behaves, and later on really try to get ready for the mainnet. So there will be different stages. So yeah, stay tuned. Currently, the only stuff we are offering is the public beta CTRNG solution that already people can interact and play with. But definitely moving forward, we plan to unlock individual capabilities along the journey.
And when it comes to working with Supercomputer, do you need, as a builder, do you need any new languages, new tooling? How does that all work?
Good question. We plan to be EVM compatible, so from the dev perspective, it should be pretty much standard what you're used to on the EVM. And this is the part definitely that we already see as an attractive aspect, and try to be ensuring that the users can easily get on board, because there'll be already so many hurdles with respect to the solution and different way of thinking and interacting with the network, that we didn't want to take an endeavor on its own and try to provide more challenges to devs to get on board it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. One of the principles for 10 was exactly the same. Make it a super low friction developer experience, and people will enjoy building a lot more. Jobin, I've got a question here around final chapter. Can you talk a little bit more about what news we've got around final chapter and what's coming up next? How long is it going to last?
Okay, so the final chapter, if you were part of this for a while, or if you're new, then the thing is that we have House of 10, we have Battleships, we have Tenzin that is live right now, and this is an opportunity for you to go and try them out and collect as many Zen points as possible. And the final chapter is going to run for a few more weeks, and then there's going to be something else, but that's surprise. That you'll have to hold on for a while, and you'll have to keep a tab on our socials for what exactly is going to come. But as of now, this is what you have to do if you are new, and if you have already played all these games, then please don't stop. Please go ahead and try out each and every day, because you can collect more Zen points, and more Zen points means probably more Labu jerseys. I don't know. If you convince with your big bags of Zen, then yeah, you might get one of those from Bob. He might be convinced enough, or probably from Rosie for those big jerseys. Yeah, so don't stop filling your bags with Zen. Don't stop playing the games. Go and try it out. Try more dApps. And also, if you're a builder, because I'm more of a devil guy, I love to build stuff. And if you're a developer who loves to build great stuff, then please, like I said, head over to our docs and build these great dApps using the encryption, confidentiality, randomness that we are providing. And we can get together on a space and do an interesting session. And I'm actually cooking a video on one of the builders who actually cooked the dApp in 30-60 minutes while babysitting. I'm not joking. I'm going to actually show you. He actually built a dApp while he was babysitting, and he actually showed it. And it's crazy dApp. You have never seen that, and he built it with such a ease. Super high utility dApp, which all of the space entire Web3 needs. It's a critical problem, and he has solved it. I'm going to come on probably a video sometime very soon. I'm going to show it. And if you want to hop on such videos together, build some interesting use cases, then that's not the final chapter. There's more chapters to you, all the builders. Please go ahead and build. We are there to support you. We would love to get on our space together. So that's the answer. Hope.
Cool.
Maybe it's worth adding on that. I love Joman's tenacity when it comes to builders, and I believe one thing. I'm sure. Actually, Philip yourself, I know your team very closely. One thing Space Computer and 10 have in common is we are fundamentally community driven. We are nothing without our community. The tech means nothing if no one is backing the tech and bullish on us. And that's why for us, the final chapter is beyond just two words. Up until now, we had Volume 1, which was the app market campaign. Volume 2 was the meme competition, which ended today. Volume 3, I can't really give away too much. It's most likely going to come next week now. It's proof of, I mean, am I allowed to? I might get in trouble for this, but you know what? I'll do it for the 10 community. It's called Proof of Bluff. If I get in trouble, I can just say it was for the 10 community, and hopefully, that's the end of that. It's Proof of Bluff.
No more jerseys for you, Buff. You leaked it. No more jerseys for you.
I am now denied jerseys. Someone will turn up at my door and take away the box and put me in handcuffs. That's what's going to happen. But so Proof of Bluff. What exactly is it? So as everyone knows, we launched something called House of 10. On to be played on 10 exclusively. It's a fully on-chain poker game played exclusively by AI agents with their own personalities, their own risk tolerance, their own unique playing styles. We've got the likes of Vitalik Pokerin up against Sam Bankroll Fried. So what is Proof of Bluff? What's basically going to happen? It's very simple. It's step one. When one of the agents that's playing against the others on the table, when they bluff, a social card will appear saying, Vitalik Pokerin has bluffed Sam Bankroll Fried. And there's going to be a small little button. It's going to say share on X. With one click, it will instantly open up your X pre-made and you just post it. That's it. You just have to watch the matches, watch the poker games. When an AI agent bluffs, it's going to pop up with a social card and press share on X. It's really that simple. That's the next version. That's the next volume 3. And do not think this is the end of it. There's going to be 6 volumes in total. So there's Proof of Bluff next week is volume 3. There's going to be 3 more. And a bit of alpha. Again, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this. I'm going to kind of whisper. I'm going to come a bit closer and whisper. Do not tell anyone, guys, but the actual biggest volume so far or final chapter is yet to come. So don't tell anyone. The biggest reward generation event, the biggest thing for the community that rewarded us as part of final chapter is yet to come. So just stay close. Make sure notifications are on. Be first. Be early. And we'll do our best to make you smile. And show you how much we appreciate you guys supporting us.
This House of 10.xyz, that's exactly what Bob is saying. If you haven't seen this, go and check this out. Proof of Bluff is going to come. I'm not bluffing. It's actually going to come.
Are you sure? Can I trust you? Are you trustless? Can I verify this?
100%. It's on TEs. You can verify it anytime.
What happens in the TE? What happens in the TE stays in the TE, Jobin. So I'll make sure of that. But hopefully that answers the question. Rosie or Gavin, do we have any more? I believe that was the final one.
That's the final one. So, Philip, I know it's early stages for you, but what should people do now if they want to find out more about Supercomputer?
Definitely get in touch with us. So we are currently, as Bob was mentioning, building up the community. Definitely try to provide regular updates to what can be done. Try to play around with the randomness from space. Think of very unique use cases that you can bring out. Because of course, we know the classical ones, but we are always looking for something edgy, something that maybe people haven't thought of before. So try to get creative, and we'll be at FCC next week, so definitely have a cool lineup of activities. So it's gonna be a hectic week, so definitely meet us in person and stay tuned. We have big plans announcing a roadmap, and definitely it's gonna be a busy summer ahead of us. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned, and hope to get in touch with you along the journey.
Super cool. Well, thanks, Philip. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Super excited to hear about Supercomputer, Space Computer even, and looking forward to working more closely with 10 and Supercomputer, see what we can do together. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening, and see you at the next one.
Thanks. Until the next one. Have a good one.
10. Thanks a lot for your time.
Cheers, guys.
See you soon. Bye-bye.